Oh my goodness. So many years.
All right, if you say so.
We have not, am I imagining our connection for many years and answers and revelations you've given me through the channels?
No, you're not imagining, but it may be coming from a lot of different sources, not necessarily just us. It could be coming from your own higher mind or spirit guides and all sorts of
Oh,
places.
wow. Oh my goodness. I'm really grateful to you for all the insight you've given me though, because I use it in my life so
It is our
well.
passion and our pleasure to do so, and we thank you for being willing to apply it, because you don't have to.
Oh wow, that takes the pressure off. It really helps.
All right. Anything else you would like to discuss?
Yes, I had a question. Uh, this was the original question I was supposed to ask you to start. And it's,
Yes.
do I have my own UFO on Earth? And I think I know what you're going to say. Somewhere in a past lifetime, I've left a UFO. I can like find it again by being in a certain resonance, more so than just staying in the vibration. But what more is there than staying in the vibration?
Well, first of all, it's not your past life. You're making a connection to someone who exists simultaneously with you who does have that experience. And therefore, in a sense, it's findable if you are in the correct vibrational state, if that is important for the theme you need to experience in this life.
With open contact coming, would you say it's probably appropriate?
It is a probability, but I'm not going to give you any percentages on that because it's too early and too many things are in flux.
Oh wow. What are the major things in flux that would need to change? Does it have to do with deeper set negative beliefs?
It has to do with a lot of things going on your planet in the collective consciousness and what they are ready for.
Although my individual world, I can create and bolster whatever reality I choose. But
Except for
for
the
the
things you have agreed to abide by, that doesn't leave anyone else behind.
leaving people behind, although you can never really do that, I guess, if we're eternal souls and
Yes, but in the immediate physical sense, you have a governor on yourself to make sure that you stay in step with certain aspects of the collective agreement so that there will be benefit for all concerned.
could you go into that further
In
about
other
what
words, the timing is important as to when that might occur. That would be of the greatest benefit for the greatest number of individuals who also seek some similar vibrational experience. So you can help not just yourself, but many people by accepting the appropriate timing for such discoveries as you have described it.
okay, so we don't have to know ahead of time because it could mess with it. And yeah, that's another thing. I have heard some of your predictions, like the Sphinx and the UFO under it being excavated, and then went into a state of expectation. And then I think I've sabotaged it from happening as soon as you initially
It's not a
predicted.
sabotage. It's an
Or no?
opportunity for you to explore any limiting beliefs within you and to relax into appropriate timing.
Wow.
Even the
Okay.
idea, even the idea or the definition that you would consider that sabotage is something that's important to work on.
Right, because of baggage from my upbringing, I would say.
Yes, yes. So it's an opportunity, and therefore the UFO acts as an opportunity, as a incentive for you to work on clearing out the vibrational beliefs that aren't compatible with the idea of the probability of encountering the UFO.
Wow. So as I work out the issue or I bring it to the surface or transform it by embracing it and giving gratitude, then the UFO becomes more likely.
Yes, but you have to be careful not to attach more expectation and insistence to that, because you don't really know what more likely means in terms of the timing.
Wow. So yeah, I can't claim to know what would actually happen either. That makes sense.
And you wouldn't want to, because again, you'll spoil the surprises.
Right, like everything else that seems to manifest in life. It seems like it's not happening, nothing's happening, and then all of a sudden it's like,
Yes.
when it's not
Exactly.
happening, especially, it starts happening.
Yes, exactly so. So
What state
don't
to be in the state? What's the best state to always believe that it's not happening or know that it's not happening, that like constantly.
live in the moment, deal with what is happening, follow the formula. That's all you need to do. It's designed to do that. It's designed to keep you in the present and deal with what is happening in the most positive way.
If I'm not in a state of it manifesting, is that
You are always manifesting something, or you wouldn't be having a physical reality experience.
well, that's true.
So it's not like you don't know how to manifest. You just need to relax your insistence or expectation on what it is you think you need to manifest and when. And you have to start trusting the way your life unfolds. Relax into the present. Whatever it is that is happening is the most important thing in the world that could be happening at that moment. And if you relate to it from a positive place, you will extract the benefit from it that will carry you forward in appropriate timing. If you resist it, this shouldn't be happening, I should be farther along, something else should be happening, then you stay stuck exactly where you are until you get the message that the present experience is meant to bring you.
Wow. It's all now. So what else is there?
Exactly. So stay in the present and things will accelerate because everything you need can only happen to you in the now. And if you're not home, if you're not here, and you're not now, then you cannot experience the manifestations that are important for you to experience in the now. You have to be home to receive the packages.
And that's breathing, I believe. Breathing properly, which I oftentimes just hold my breath for very long periods.
All right. Well, again, with the exception of certain exercises that are designed to allow you to hold your breath for a variety of reasons, yes, just breathe and keep moving and keep relating to whatever's happening in the most positive way you can. Even if something manifests that you don't objectively prefer, you just realize it's not vibrationally compatible with what you prefer, that doesn't mean it's not there for a reason. And if nothing else, you can more clearly understand what you prefer by having manifested something that you don't prefer. And therefore you've used what you don't prefer in a positive way. And then it can move on because you've used it. You've learned the lesson.
Essentially, it's saying I am all that I perceive, right? And being
Yes.
without your is it letting the ego tell us that we're better than something or something is better than something.
Without the negative, yes, without the negative ego. Because the true ego doesn't tell you anything. It just allows you to experience whatever it is you're experiencing as clearly as possible. That's the positive ego. It's just doing its job of allowing you to have a physical reality experience. It's the negative ego that thinks it needs to control that experience. You're already in control. The negative ego doesn't believe that you are, and therefore tries to take over and control everything. But that's exactly the opposite of control. That's desperation and feeling like you're disconnected.
Sorry?
That's desperation, feeling like you're disconnected.
Right. Which is part of my baggage.
All right. So, you are in control. Just go with the flow. Go with your own current. Don't swim upstream. You will land exactly where you need to because your current knows exactly where you need to go. It's designed for you. So, don't overthink. Just relax into the flow. The flow knows exactly what needs to happen. Let your life unfold in an automatic and perfectly timed way. Don't try so hard.
Am I trying too hard right now?
To some degree, but you're relaxing a bit as we go.
A bit, yeah. Correct. Wow.
So, anything else, or do you have what you need?
Oh, I could go on. I could spend a lot of time talking to you, or at least being.
Well, all right, but remember, the more you absorb and understand what we're saying, the more you can answer your own questions.
Oh my.
Because many times people ask the same question over and over in different clothing. And the answer is the same to all of it. Follow the formula, be in the now, act on your passion, be yourself.
Wow.
It's designed, it's a distillation of how reality works, designed to allow things to be easy by giving you an instruction manual for how it works. Just follow the instructions, as you would with any device that you would like to utilize that comes with instructions. A, B, C, D, E. Follow the instructions, it'll work. Don't follow the instructions, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, maybe it'll work to your disadvantage. Just follow the instructions. Everything is working already. Just follow the instructions. The instructions tell you how it's working, why it works. That's all you have to do. That's why we give you the formula. Act on your passion to the best you can, with no insistence, no expectation as to the outcome, no assumption of that. Stay in a positive state, no matter what happens. Examine your belief systems. Let go of the ones that don't serve you. That's it. Very simple. No need to overcomplicate it. Just follow the instructions as precisely as possible.
Wonderful.
Does that help you?
Helps me very much. Very much.
Take a breath. All right. So, moving on, is there something else?
Oh, okay. Well, of many questions that I've wanted to ask you, I keep coming back to this one. I guess it's the most exciting. As Jesus taught you how to neutralize the effect of negative actions through forgiveness to your ancient civilization,
Forgiving others is forgiving yourself for having attracted the experience that you don't prefer. In other words, it's freedom. Forgiveness is freedom. Otherwise, if you don't forgive, you're anchoring yourself to the negative experience and the negative energy, and why would you want to do that? Yeshua is for you and earth. We have Shekinah, which taught us the same thing.
Shekinah.
Yes. The aspect of all that is the teacher, that is the shifter and the changer. But your expression of that is either Yeshua or Buddha or Krishna or many faces of all that is.
Is that throughout the billions of years that the same souls keep reincarnating as...
Reincarnation is an illusion.
Oh.
Remember, everything exists now, which means everyone exists now. So you're never someone else, but you make energetic connections to them, and from your linear perspective, interpret them as memories. So experiential reincarnation is real. You can have the experience as if you have reincarnated in a linear fashion, but what you're really doing is connecting to other beings that exist at the same time you do and drawing down experience from them, which you interpret as memories, to guide you in this life, as they may be doing the same with you.
So
remember, everything is now. Everything is now. Everything is now. Everything is now. Does that help you?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, it very much does.
We will say that is sufficient unto the day.
Okay. I'd go on for hours. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Aveo.
Aveo. Thank you.
In our language, that means in service.
And my third and final question was if you could please give or share a geometric calling card to deepen my relationship with Kernanos, or the winter spirit, have you referred to him?
Kernanos, the winter spirit, would be as the idea of focusing on the antlers themselves, just the antlers, but with an understanding of what it represents, with a connection to nature, a very deep, pervading connection to the idea of the world of those nature spirits, the energy of the plasticity that allows them to come and go in physical form. So focus on the antlers as an anchor point, but retain the idea that they're connected to something that is constantly shifting, constantly coming in and out of physical reality. A heartbeat that comes and goes and connects and bridges what you consider physical reality to be and the non-physical aspect, the non-physical skin, so to speak, or dimension of the earth itself. I know that sounds a little cryptic and poetic, but nevertheless, it's the best way to describe the vibrational frequency and symbol that represents Kerninos.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you for taking my question.
Oh, it is our passion and our pleasure to do so.
I was wondering if you could explain a little bit more about the alternate realities of Earth. Are we individually creating these, or is it more of a collective?
Both. There are collectives in every alternate reality. If you identify and vibrate in alignment with them, then you join that collective as an individual. Yeah.
So my version, though, might be slightly different than what
Yes.
other people.
Yes, but similar enough that you can agree to experience what seems to be the same reality, even though it's not.
Okay.
That agreement takes place on a different level. But yes, it can be similar enough that you say, oh yes, we're in the same reality. We're sharing the same reality. You're not, but it can seem so.
Okay. And then, as I think I heard you say in some previous discussions, that it was like we could see other people's realities, but we're still moving apart from.
Yes, it's like there are glass walls between the splitting realities at this point, so you can still see the other realities so that they can see yours, so that you can decide whether what they're doing is something you would prefer to choose or what you're doing is something they would prefer to choose. So for a while, you will allow each other to see all the different choices, but eventually those glass walls will become more and more opaque. And eventually you will only experience that which is compatible with the realities that you have shifted to or through.
Okay. All right. I think I understand.
Oh, all right. Thank you. Anything else?
No, that was it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Aveo.
Hello, Tadeo.
Nania.
We have so many wonderful questions from our viewers.
All right.
The first question is, how does one hone their vibration or frequency to their exact preferred reality series?
By following the formula. That's what it's designed to do. That's why we give it to you.
And this person is saying they've been having a challenging year energetically, and part of the year they felt like they were on a downward spiral. And they wanted to know how they can work with their belief system and shift into a positive reality, like with the rubber band analogy. And can surrendering be complementary to the formula to assist him in their preferred reality shift?
Yes, if you understand that surrendering is actually allowing the control you already have built into you to function properly, instead of trying to take control through the personality ego. Surrendering is surrendering to the control that's already built into you. So yes, of course, that kind of surrender can be completely compatible with the idea of following the formula, because it goes hand in hand with not assuming or insisting on a particular outcome, but allowing what needs to happen to manifest around you and then staying in that positive state to extract the benefit from it.
And how can we intentionally manifest what we want when we still have to interact with what's left of previous realities before the new ones become visible?
Well, again, it's not always about what you want, which can be a negative ego thing. Not always, but it can be. It's about knowing that you will attract what you need if you allow yourself to remain in the present, because the present is where everything happens. Connecting yourself continually to the idea of the so-called past is what may prevent you from living in the present so you can receive whatever it is that needs to manifest for you in the present. So finding out in your belief system why you would still anchor yourself to past events when you know that if you simply redefine yourself in the present, you've already changed your past as well, would be a good exploration and investigation for people to do, to allow themselves to understand why they may believe they have to hold on to things from the so-called past.
This person is saying that they've been following your teachings since they discovered you about 5 or 6 years ago, and yet they still find circumstances tend to dictate their state of being. Can you offer any suggestions on how to not take our cue from our circumstances?
All right, again, look at the language. Circumstances do not tend to alter your state of being. You choose to be altered by circumstances. You would have to ask yourself why. What are you getting out of choosing to go based on the idea of outside circumstances as opposed to choosing what it is you say you prefer? So again, this requires honest self-investigation and an understanding of the beliefs that are attached to your motivational mechanism that would make it seem logical for you to choose something you say you don't prefer. Because again, you don't choose what you don't believe serves you on some level. So you must have a belief that choosing these things based on outside circumstances somehow serves you, somehow puts you in a place that you say is safer than the alternative. So it requires honest self-investigation to understand why you are choosing to go based on the idea of outside circumstances instead of the state of being you prefer to remain in.
So is that partly having to do with the idea that we actually are manifesting our experience, and the idea that it's not just happening to us, like fully accepting that this is a projection of consciousness, as opposed
Correct.
to I'm in this reality and these things are happening to me?
Correct. It's about taking full responsibility for what's happening. This is not a blame. It's control. It's knowing you are in control of what's happening. Even though you may not understand it, you may be testing yourself to see if you're still reacting the same old way to the circumstances, or whether you are going to respond to it differently, which is the true measure of change. It's not about whether the outside circumstances change that prove you have changed. It's about whether you respond differently to them that is the proof of change. And then the outside can possibly reflect the change that is truly happening within you, because you're not basing your state of being on outside circumstances.
So it really does come down to believing that this is a projection of consciousness that's coming through you, and understanding how to relate to the projection that you're experiencing.
More than believing, it's knowing that it is.
And that's what really makes your frequency go up, is when you shift from believing to knowing.
Yes.
And so what actually determines our state of being?
The combination of belief systems that you hold to be true at any given moment in your personality structure.
Is it kind of like an equation where all of the beliefs are added together and the summary is
Your frequency. Yes. Simply put, but yes.
so every time you change a belief that's negative into either something neutral or positive, that's changes your equation and gives you the opportunity to be a higher frequency.
Correct.
Okay. And what would a change in a belief system have to come from the motivational mechanism itself, or do these ideas operate on different levels?
The motivational mechanism is always involved. Now, as we have said, the unconscious mind is a repository of potential beliefs that represent the theme that you chose to explore. The subconscious mind is the gateway or valve that allows certain kinds of beliefs that fit your theme to come through to the conscious mind when you are ready for them. But the conscious mind always functions off the motivational mechanism because, again, it's a world of physical reality, it's a world of action, and the beliefs have to motivate you to take an action or create a state of being that is commensurate with the belief so you have something to work with, whether it's positive or negative.
And does the idea of free will have to do with our capacity to change what beliefs we put into the motivational mechanism?
You always have the same capacity, but again, it depends on whether or not you believe that you do. You always have the free will to change your belief system. But if you have a belief that says you don't, you're using your free will to deny yourself the accessibility to your free will in a positive state. You're simply using your free will in a negative state.
And what is more powerful, belief systems or feelings and emotions when it comes to manifestation?
They work hand in hand. First, you have the belief. Then the belief uses emotions and thoughts and behaviors to reinforce itself and make itself seem real. Because again, remember, physical reality is a projection of consciousness. Classically said, it's an illusion. So the belief can't just be on its own. It has to generate the vibrational energy frequencies that you translate as feelings to make it feel that it's true, and the thought patterns to make you think that it's true, and the behavior modalities to allow you to behave as if it's true so that you get the reflection, which then can reinforce it, and it completes the cycle. But it always starts with the belief. Without the emotional, shall we say, reinforcement, it wouldn't feel real. So beliefs use emotions, thoughts, and behaviors to make themselves seem solid, seem factual, seem real, so that you can actually participate in what you call physical reality. Otherwise, you would just sit there.
And how do we tell the difference between fear-based beliefs and logical planning ahead?
Well, if you plan something generally, but you are willing to allow for that to change, and you're not afraid for it to change, then you understand you're not operating out of fear-based beliefs. So you can plan, but always allow in the plan for things to change up a little bit, for there to be spontaneity and surprises, and go with the flow. Course correct as you go. You can have a general plan as an outline, but don't assume that it has to meet every single one of the markers that you originally designed in the plan. Allow there to be some flexibility. If you're not afraid to do that, then you're not operating out of a fear-based belief.
And along those lines, if there's a lot of activity where people are scamming other people around money, let's say, soliciting money from them in one way or another, does that mean that when you're approached by anyone that is asking you for money, that you have an immediate belief that this could potentially be a scammer, or do you approach it some other way that would be of a higher frequency?
Well, again, you can recognize from a high frequency that someone may be perpetrating a scam. It doesn't mean you have to emotionally react to it, but you can recognize it for what it is if you're sensitive enough to do so. Or you can certainly take the time to explore whether it is or not if you feel you have sufficient powers of discernment to be able to tell from their responses to your questions what it is they are being honest or dishonest about. So it might be an opportunity to allow yourself to hone your discernment capabilities, but you don't have to react to it emotionally to simply have the neutral observation that it could potentially be one way or the other. You can recognize that that's a potential feature on Earth, that many people may choose to scam others, but you can sit in a neutral space and determine whether or not that is true on a case-by-case basis, if you wish.
Okay, thank you. In the past year after contracting COVID, this individual suffered mentally with anxiety and panic attacks. And they wanted to know how they could deal with that anxiety and still be available for open contact, and whether or not the anxiety in that sense blocks them from having open contact.
The anxiety would perhaps block or slow down the potential for open contact, but they simply need to understand by examining their belief systems what they're and certain other elements of waste into the soil to create what they called dark earth, terra preta. And that is a very rich soil that allows for the growth of things that would otherwise not grow on the nutrient poor soil that was natural in the area. So they laid on top of it a thick layer of dark earth that contained a large amount of charcoal and ash, which allows for more nutrients to be attracted to the area in certain ways that would help their food to grow. So the idea of wildfires are a natural cycle that can allow for the enrichment of the soil in the future for other things to grow more heartily. Remember that in a sense, you're looking at it from a human perspective. The only reason these things are scary is because you build houses in these areas. Otherwise, in nature, fires are natural, caused by lightning and a few other things. So just because your population is building in areas where these things naturally happen, you find them to be fearful.
Should we not build in those areas?
If you do build in those areas, we would strongly suggest that you build something fireproof instead of building houses out of wood.
Yes. Okay.
Not to say that you can't find a different way and a different balance of where you build as well. Remember that some of the reasons why you build in certain places have political motivations, financial motivations, things that are, in a sense, not representative of the natural world. And therefore, you might take yourselves out of the natural patterns of building villages and towns and cities in places where they otherwise probably wouldn't be built if you were following more natural patterns.
Okay. Here's a question about food. Why is it that foods that are bad for us, like chocolates, mac and cheese, French fries, and donuts, all taste so good, but the foods that are good for us, like kale, spinach, and broccoli, taste bad?
It's because of what you have gotten used to. These things don't taste bad when you're used to them. They actually can taste quite good. And some of the things you're saying are bad for you aren't necessarily as bad as you might think when taken in moderation. But the idea in general is that you've simply been trained to consider certain things as tasting bad and tasting good. So you have to let go of your training and retrain yourself to understand what it is you're getting out of some of those things you have named that are more natural, and they will actually start to taste quite good to you. And look around, because many people actually find some of the things you talked about as actually quite tasty. Not everyone in your planet thinks that those things taste bad.
Right. So when we feed babies, they tend to prefer the sweet stuff, or is that just kind of our projection?
It's a little bit of your projection. Some of it is required in order for them to build certain kinds of antibodies and proteins and other things, but not necessarily as much as you might think. There is a limit to how much they actually require for growing. And it's simply up to you to develop the knowledge of where those limits are. But the idea, again, is that beyond a certain point, then they are simply being trained to react to those things. And as they grow, they will want more and more of those things instead of developing a more balanced palate for the things that truly serve them when they get older.
Another question about children. The psyche of young children makes them believe that everything revolves around them. I was wondering if that has something to do with the strong connection they still have with spirit and the higher mind, and they can unconsciously know we are the creators of our reality.
That is true to some degree. However, another part of why children may react that way is, again, depending upon the themes they have chosen to explore, what it is they are choosing to reflect to those around them, the adults around them and other children around them, in terms of things that other people may need to consider for themselves by seeing reflections in the children that may be acting in a way that you call selfish. So the idea, remember, is that they're coming into a collective consciousness agreement, and they are adopting many of the traits that their parents are also dealing with, many of the issues that are existing within your culture and your societies. So a lot of that has to do more with what's going on in the theme that they are reflecting to your society, although there is a small part of it that is spurred on by the fact that they know they are the center of their reality. But it's not necessarily the main part with regard to the idea of what they're choosing to reflect in the collective consciousness and the issues that are contained within it that your society may or may not be looking at within itself.
Mm-hmm. Here's a current events question. There have been many reports of increasing number of orca attacks on boats and ships around the world in recent years. Can you tell us what this is about and how it might relate to open contact?
We're going to answer this very simply. You could just say, because the orcas are symbolic of the samurai of the sea, that they have banded together to enact a sort of payback to the damage done by boats to cetaceans in the ocean. So they are the protectors, and therefore they are letting humans know in no uncertain terms that their boats have caused a lot of damage in certain areas to many cetaceans, and therefore they are reflecting back to you the results of that damage in many cases.
Mm-hmm. You've mentioned that your ship is positioned above Bella Rock in Sedona for the purpose of, as I understand it, regulating and controlling energies. What are the energies you are referring to? I felt a flow along the ground, knee level, when I was there. Can you tell us something about these energies radiating at Bell Rock?
Well, it is the center of the general vortex in that area, a portal to other dimensional connections. We are adding our energy and helping regulate the patterns and the frequencies so that you can have a smoother transition, because that vortex is specific as a reflective mirror to the idea of amplifying and magnifying whatever it is in your issues and energy you bring with you into the Sedona vortex. So by regulating it to some degree, we can help smooth out the reactions that people may be experiencing in what they bring with them into that vortex, positive and or negative, so that they can have easier transitions in adapting to that particular energy of higher dimensionality. The effect that you're experiencing at knee level is simply the result of a flow of transitioning that kind of energy into the electromagnetic field of the earth itself that is flowing all around you and extends from the ground about that far up, at least as dense as you need it to be to experience it. It goes somewhere between the idea of shin level, knee level, hip level. Some that are more sensitive to it might feel it all the way to the top of their body, but it becomes more rarefied as it goes away from the ground, that electromagnetic field. But the effects of the vortex in that electromagnetic field can be felt by those that are sensitive to it.
Can ETs connect with us through the technology we have nowadays instead of using different types of channelings?
Oh, yes, it is absolutely possible. But remember, the reason for the channeling is that you get a more three-dimensional version of the communication. You get the nuances and the subtleties of body language and inflection in your language and so on and so forth. So it's a much more, shall we say, well-rounded form of communication that can allow you to understand more clearly the total intention of the message and information being delivered than, say, it would from a radio transmission or something like that, which would appear and feel relatively flat to you and be questioned as to its background intentions because you're not feeling it on more than one simple level.
So ETs could potentially communicate with us through radio?
And sometimes they have. You may or
Oh.
may not recognize it as such. Sometimes you may think it's a spirit. But yes, sometimes that communication has happened. But again, it's left relatively limited because of the limitations of the technology. Whereas again, telepathically combining or blending or matching the frequencies of a person through channeling can give you, as we said, a much more in-depth and well-rounded form of the communication intended. But sometimes, yes, it can come through your electronic devices. It just depends on the reason for that.
That's pretty cool. Talking about frequencies, here's a question about grays. You've said that grays are only operating at a frequency of 50,000 cycles per second and thus have a negative.
Stop. We didn't say that they had a negative energy just because they're operating at a lower frequency. That is an assumption and an interpretation on the part of the questioner.
Mm-hmm.
There are different levels of grays at different points in your history, in your timeline. Some of them have higher frequencies and some of them have lower frequencies depending on where they're at. So don't misinterpret the idea of a lower vibration being automatically a negative thing.
You've answered the question.
Yes.
Referring to the hybridization agenda, when you say some humans have been given energetic templates or framework or skeleton key to create hybrids, what do you actually mean? And do they have hybrid children?
Some of them do, some of them don't. The idea of the energetic template is based on the structure of the DNA, but the actual physical molecular DNA is not required. The energy template that created the DNA is sufficient upon which to grow the idea of the hybrid being.
So
In other words, it's like an injection of instructions without the actual physical material.
So some people have instructions and some people don't.
Oh no, everyone has instructions. It's just that some of the instructions that create the DNA are not relevant for the hybridization agenda, at least not at that time. So the idea is that there are those instructions, patterns of energy, remember, everything is energy, everything. Patterns of energy, which we're calling instructions, some of them are simply more relevant and conducive to the idea of what is necessary for the creation of the hybrid civilizations. And therefore, we simply match the frequencies of those instructions and use those frequencies to grow the hybrid beings physically, so that we don't necessarily always need the physical material.
Mm-hmm. And are there certain types of people who have these instructions?
There are. Now, we're not going to get very specific about this, but the idea is that at one time we did say that those that have some of the strongest connections to the ancient Anunnaki bloodlines are usually, not always, usually the ones that are used for these energetic templates. Now, there are many other things, many other connections that people have to Pleiadians, to Sirius energy, to Arcturus vibrations, and so on and so forth, that are also used in the energy template. So it's just about the way in which these energy connections exist for that person based on their theme of exploration, and a lot of other factors that we're not going to go into right now that create a particular recipe of energy patterns that are relevant and conducive for the creation of the hybrid beings that would allow them to mature in a balanced and positive way.
Okay. We have a quick Willa question here.
Yes.
Is there a specific place in Ireland where I could meditate on Willa's energy?
Three Rock Mountain.
Okay. Do we inherit silver cords from the Sasquatch or the Anunnaki? Does this mean that we are...
No. This is a misunderstanding. Again, anything that is spirit that projects itself into the experience of physical reality creates a silver cord. You don't inherit them from other beings. Every being has its own silver cord that is physical, going back up to its spiritual self. This is a misunderstanding of the concept of silver cords.
Why is ancient wisdom and knowledge represented by the serpent?
Because the serpent, as expressed on the medical caduceus, represents the idea of the DNA spiral. And therefore, as we just talked about, there's a lot of information and ancient wisdom and knowledge encoded in the information that creates the idea of physical DNA.
Mhm. When we learn about DNA in school, we learn about quote unquote junk DNA, where it's about 90%. Can you talk about this?
Only in limited fashion for now, but junk DNA is not junk. It's connecting you to many things you simply haven't discovered yet. And it's also not junk, but some of it, in a sense, could be said to be dormant or markers that haven't turned on yet, that will turn on as you raise your vibration and evolve.
I see. Okay. A pyramid question. Was the Great Pyramid built before, was the Great Pyramid built after the flood or before? There are watermarks partway up the pyramid.
It was built before, as the knowledge of the imminent destruction of Atlantis was known by the people that left early. And these structures around the world were built as safeguards of information to preserve that information against the upcoming disaster, against the flood that occurred because of the cometary impact into the Atlantic Ocean, because of the tsunamis that resulted. So yes, it was built before.
And is the information still somewhat preserved in there, or has it dissipated?
No, for the most part, it's still there. Even though the pyramid has to some degree been disassembled from its original form, those that are investigating are getting some of the information correct, and some of it they still have to translate properly. But many of you do understand that it is something that encodes information on many different levels and in many different disciplines of scientific knowledge and spiritual knowledge.
What really are the underwater structures near Yonaguni Island in Japan, or the Baltic Sea anomaly?
Remnants of the ancient land of Mu, what you call Lemuria, that sunk long ago.
Here's a question about letting go. I'm so excited about increased disclosure and other exciting things happening. However, I'm having trouble letting go of my best friend, ex-partner, with whom I shared everything, and I now feel lonely and alone. Can you advise me on how to gain a positive perspective and how to move on?
Well, you're not alone. You're never alone. You always have your guides. You always have those that have passed on or simply not incarnated that are part of your soul family. And the idea of feeling alone just because you are no longer in contact with one particular physical being can be looked at as an opportunity to move on to attract those who are now more representative of the new level that you have taken yourself to in your evolutionary path. You are never alone, but you can make yourself feel alone by hesitating to move forward on your path. So examine your belief systems to find out why you have created this attachment and why it's necessary for you to have connection with that particular person as opposed to moving forward to connect to the people that would now serve you best. Take what you have learned out of the unconditional love of the agreement you have made and the experiences you have had with that person in your life, and use them to upscale and upgrade your own vibration to attract the next people that you need to reflect to you what you need to know in your life to move forward on your path. You are never alone. You are not alone right now. You have just created a void for yourself because of your unwillingness to move forward. And that void can feel like you're alone, but you're creating that space for yourself. So you can let go of that space and attract in the people that you need. It does not mean that you are abandoning the other person or discounting or dishonoring what you have learned from them or what the relationship was for you at that time. You're carrying it forward, taking with you what it is you learned about yourself to become more of who you are, and now using that experience to attract who and what you need for your continued evolution. And again, you are never alone.
Is that space of loneliness part of the grieving process?
It can be. It can be. But again, beyond a certain point, if you continue to grieve, you're actually preventing yourself from receiving communications that may be coming to you from spirit because you're blocking them with your sorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So grieve as a process of letting go. That's fine. Cry the tears that wash the chemical constituents out of your body that are connected to ideas you no longer need, that are no longer relevant for you, old beliefs, and move forward so that you may absorb and create new beliefs, new experiences within you. But again, you always have help. You are never alone. You just have to let go of this idea that you're alone to start realizing that you're never alone. Unless, of course, you wish to be. Then they will leave you alone, but not for long, because they will always be whispering in your ear that you have the ability and the power and the self-respect and the self-worthiness to move forward.
Thank you. Talking about moving forward, since my wife's passing last year, I've been sensitive to psychic sensing my wife's presence, sensing people's health conditions, and even relaying deceased loved ones' messages, which were quite accurate.
All right, congratulations on allowing the connection to spirit and allowing her transition to spirit to connect you more strongly with yourself in spirit as well, which is giving you these side effects.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. Are there any ways to sharpen or enhance these abilities?
Follow the formula.
Okay.
Allow yourself to know that those people are still with you. Don't think of them as gone. Learn to communicate in your dreams or in physical reality through your mind, through your heart with these people. If you feel them in your heart, they will feel it and they will reach out to you. And you can use your increased sensitivity to know that you are receiving messages from them that support you and encourage you to move forward and do the things that are of service to other humans that you are doing more and more.
How does a regular person who doesn't have these increased sensing abilities determine if it's a sign from it?
Follow the formula.
Okay. But the second part of his question says, I sometimes have the feeling of being out of body, but I'm afraid to surrender to this because it feels very scary. Do you have any methods to help let go of the fear of out-of-body experiences?
Yes, examine your belief systems about what you're afraid might happen if you're out of body. Some people are afraid they might get stuck out of their body. Believe me, you won't. Because if it's not your time to go, you will be sent back. So there's nothing to fear. Find out what the fear belief is and find out why that seems rational to you, why that seems true to you. Because very often these things aren't true. They're just what you've been taught or what you've been taught to think about something or how you think it works when it doesn't work that way at all. Again, you always have guidance. You can't get stuck outside your body. You will not leave before your time unless you choose to literally obliterate your physical form. And if you're not doing that, I guarantee you, you will be sent back if it's not your time. And if it is your time, you will be given a choice. Do you want to stay? Do you want to go back? So don't worry about it. And especially if you're just doing out-of-body travel. It's not even that you are experiencing what you call a near-death experience where you've actually died. So just doing out-of-body travel is not going to get you stuck outside your body. You will have encounters with different beings and you will decide whether or not they are representative of a vibration that you prefer or not. And you can make your decisions and shift yourself to whatever realities you prefer when you are in the astral form. But again, you're never alone. You have guidance. So call upon your guides to assist you with out-of-body experiences, and they're happy to help you with this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have a feeling of a fear of falling when I'm out of body, that I'm going to fall and crash.
How can you fall when you weigh nothing? Gravity doesn't affect you when you're out of body.
Yes, we have to remember that.
So again, the idea of falling is simply your interpretation of densifying your vibrational frequency to go back to physical reality.
Right.
That's what you're sensing, and you're just interpreting it as the sensation of falling. And that's why you call the idea of, oh, the fallen angels. You're just talking about the densification of spirit into the experience of physical reality. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bashar. I wanted to ask one last thing. Is there anything else that you would like to add to this transmission that I didn't cover today?
Only again the reminder that you are all powerful beings because you're all reflections of all that is. That unconditional support and love is the very vibrational frequency of existence itself. And you are all deserving of it because you are a part of existence. You exist. And if you're asking questions like, do I really exist? That ability to ask the question is proof of your existence. Don't overcomplicate things. Don't trick yourselves. These are just tricks. You exist, and you deserve all the unconditional love and support that existence is built out of, because you are a part of it. We remind you of that. We thank you, our unconditional love to you all, and now we bid you the opportunity and encourage you to take the opportunity to relax and experience the imagination and meditation of the silver cord. Now, we shall invite you to relax, let go of the cares of the day, breathe deeply, become comfortable. You may accompany any music or visuals you wish, eyes open or closed, but allow your imagination to expand into the following scenario. The silver cord exists for each and every one of you individually. We are suggesting an exercise where throughout your day, as you go about your business, whatever it may be, with any single being you encounter, be it human or otherwise, allow yourself to imagine this cord, this silvery, scintillating energy stream rising from them up to the sky, so high that it vanishes from your sight, knowing that that cord, like a thread, like a link, is going to their higher mind in non-physical spirit reality. So as you go through your day, walking around, communicating with anyone, family, friends, or strangers on the street, even if they're driving in their car, see the cord going up through the roof of the car into the heavens. See those strings for everyone that you meet. Use your imagination, use your creativity. It doesn't mean you have to see them visually, literally, although some can, but see those silver cords rising into spirit, vanishing from sight, knowing that there is information and communication coming down and up along those lines for everyone. Get used to seeing those cords as projections of consciousness from on high, from the non-physical realm of spirit, projecting that personality, that person, that physical being into the physical dream. Start getting used to seeing those cords existing all the time, and it can give you a different appreciation and perspective of every person and what their journey is about, knowing you are all connected to Source, all, no matter what your perspective, no matter what your beliefs, positive or negative, you are all connected that way. See those cords and see if you can ascertain in any way, shape, or form with your intuition and your inspiration the information that is coming so that you can learn what paths everyone is walking, why they may be choosing the paths they are choosing, positively or negatively. See how that cord and information coming along it blends with their belief systems about what they believe is possible or probable for them. where their limitations may lie. But nevertheless, in knowing that and intuiting that and in sensing the vibrations of that mixture, of that information coming from the higher mind into the physical mind, the personality translating it into physical thoughts, words, actions, and beingness, the physical experience, even though mixed, understand that everyone has the ability, because they have those connections, to gain and open up to more information coming along those silver cords, that everyone is connected to source through those cords, through that energy path, through that electromagnetic wavelength that you interpret as a silver cord, and start seeing those cords all the time with people walking around and that stream rising to the heavens everywhere, for everyone, in everything, all the time. And see if that starts to change your perspective of how you relate to different people when you are communicating with them or even just observing them, and allowing you to ponder what is coming along that electromagnetic cord, that silver cord. What kind of information are they receiving? What kind of information are they ignoring from their higher minds that might give you insight by wiretapping into those silver cords as to how you may be able to serve them when appropriate, by sharing with them information that you may be able to siphon from those silver cords that they may be preventing themselves from becoming aware of. Again, it doesn't mean that you have to tell them something, that they have to listen. It's none of your business what they do with that information, and you will be able to perceive when it is appropriate and not appropriate to share that information with them. But by being able to perceive that those cords exist, you may have greater insight and greater compassion for all of the experiences that humans have upon the earth. For all of you have that connection back to higher mind, back to source. Allow yourselves to practice this every day. When you go out, see everyone with those cords rising from their head. All the animals, all the trees, all life have those cords rising back to spirit, because, again, in this order, first and foremost, as above, so below. Everything that exists in physical reality begins and has its counterpart in spirit first and foremost. What comes into the manifestation of physical reality may not be exactly as it is in spirit. It may be a limited version of it, but nevertheless, it starts in spirit. As above, so below. It's not as below, so above. It's as above, so below. Allow yourself to begin to perceive the silver cords in everyone, and you will have gained great insight into the communication coming from their higher minds to their physical minds,